So guys, welcome to one more very wonderful session on programming mastery weekly logic building bootcamp. Every week we come with a new concept related to some programming languages. So in today's session, I will explain that how you can build a login form application using Java programming language. In Java, there is one API called Swing API, and using Swing's API, we can build a login form. So you can just have a look on this student login form. This is how it will look, and we are going to build this. It will contain one heading on the top, student login, then username, password, submit, cancel, and reset buttons. And to build this application, we need to have knowledge on Swing API, and you need to have knowledge on inheritance in Java, and you need to have understanding of method overriding, and you'll work with event handling. So to develop this application, I'm going to use Eclipse IDE. I'm going to use this Eclipse IDE. Okay, and I'll start a new project in this Eclipse IDE. So I'll show you everything right from the scratch before you. Each and every line I will write before you with complete detailed explanation so that you'll understand that how projects are built with real-time requirements. So to develop Java applications or to practice Java programs, you can use any of the IDE. There are so many IDEs are there in the market, but I'm using Eclipse IDE to build the application. I'm using Eclipse IDE to build the application. So this is the Eclipse IDE interface. I'll click on File, then New, and I'll say Java project. Okay, and here student login form is the project name I've given, and I'll click on Next, and then I click on Finish. Okay, so here it's asking about module info. So you just click on Don't Create. It's not required for us to create any module. So you can observe student login form, and for saving Java files, we have provided with a folder called SRC. In this, you need to create a Java file. So I'll say right click on SRC folder, then New, then I'll say class. Every program in Java is known as a class. So now it will ask you the class name. So I can give the same class name, student login form. Okay, and I need main method functionality for this. So I'll just say public static void main. I check this checkbox so that I'll get this interface ready with me. Okay, and if you want to build a simple program like hello world, so like if you came from like C and C++ background, there you'll use printf and cout statements for displaying any output on the screen. But whereas in Java we use this system.out.println, and I've just written a message like hello world. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll run this program. So to run this program, we'll use this green color button, and we can see this output. So my objective is not to display this hello world message on the screen. The main objective of this session is to create a student login form. Okay, so This is one class in Java which contains the main method functionality. Now I'll create one more class login form extends JFrame. So if you want to create a login form, then you should have one frame actually. Is it clear? Form is nothing but one rectangular square window on which GUI components are placed. So Java comes with a ready-made class called JFrame, and this JFrame is available inside a package called Java X Swing. Okay, so you have to import this package before you work with this JFrame. And here you can open and close the brackets. And to create a login form, we need to have some buttons, text boxes, labels, all those things. So if you want to create a label, then we have a ready-made class called JLabel. Okay, and I want to create one heading first. So I have taken one reference, and then one user ID, I want to create it. One label for password, I want to create it. So totally three labels we want. So I've created the three references. I have not created any objects. I'll create objects later. So the labels references is done. After that, I want to create text boxes for storing username and password. So there is a ready-made class called JTextFill. T1 and T2 are two text box references I'm creating. Then I want to create a button, like J button is the class, B1, B2, B3. I'm creating three buttons. So references I have created. So these are all references. Now we'll write one constructor, login form. This is the constructor I'm going to define. And guys, this is the project I'm explaining you directly, and those who wants to work with this application should have knowledge on Java. Without having knowledge on Java, you won't understand anything. Okay, so login form constructor I have created, and first of all, I'll create one heading. So I'll say head equals to new J label, and I'll just create like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, and then I'll say student login form, and then again 3, 4, 5 stars, so that it will look nice. So the label is created. Okay, I want to apply a font for this label. Okay, I want to apply font for this label. So by default label, you'll get it in small letters. I'll show you that once. So once you create one window, just let me show you once. Suppose if you look at this window, this is how the whole window will look like. Is it clear? This is the whole window. Okay, so wherever you have placed the text, the gray color area, it is known as the container. Container is nothing but the place of the window where components are placed. So if you want to put any component on the window, means on the frame, you need to take the reference of the container class. So I have taken one reference for the container class. The C is the reference, but this container class is available in AWT package. So I have to import that AWT also. AWT.star I've imported. And once we get the container reference, we can say C equals to get content pane. Content pane is the method which is available in JFrame. It will give you the reference of the empty area of the frame. And once you get the content pane reference, you can you have to set the layout. Once you got the reference of the area, now you have to decide like where you want to place the components. Okay, so there is a method called set layout, and I'll say new flow layout. Flow layout is the kind of layout which will keep all the components in the row order. means it will fill all the components in first row, and then if components are left, it will bring to the next line. So I'll set the layout, flow layout for the content reference, and after that I can add the label. Okay, and the label is head. Label is head. So it's added, and set visible of true. This is the method which is going to make your frame visible on the screen. And before you make your screen, means form visible, you need to give the dimension of the form what you're going to create. So there is a method called set size, and I'll say like 350 is the width and 200 is the height. You can give like any width or any height as per your requirement. Okay. Now just run the program and see whether you are getting, yeah. So it's done. And in the main method, I need to call this login form class. So here, login form equals to new login form. So now what happens, the login form class constructor will be called, and what are the code we have written inside the constructor, everything will be get executed. And you can see here, we got one form. So here, this is in very small letters, so I'll apply font style. And when you try to close now, the window is closed, but the program is not terminated. You can see the red color indication. So you have to explicitly close it. So what you have to do is we have to write the code for that. Like whenever you click on that into mark, you want to close the application. So for that, there is a method called set default close operation. All these methods are available in JFrame class, and as we are extending this JFrame, everything is inherited to login form. And here you have to pass one parameter like JFrame dot exit on close. Okay, now you can see. Fine. So guys, it will take a lot of time to finish this application. So you have to watch this particular video till the end. Now, before I add this student login form label to the container, I want to give some font style for this. So there is one ready-made class called font, and for this you have to create an object, font class object you have to create. It will take 3 parameters. The first one is the font name. Courier new is the font name I have given. Second one is the font style. So the font style I want bold. Third one is like how much size you want. So I said 20. Okay. Now I'll say head dot. Head is nothing but the label reference because it's heading. And I'll say set font, and I'll give this font class reference. Okay. Now you just observe how it will look. Is it clear? So we got student login form with big letters. Now we will create objects for the user ID, password, text boxes, button all together. So observe clearly. Here the reference name is UID and PWD. UID equals to new J label of, and here I'll say username is the text. This is the label I'm creating. Okay. And I can say PWD equals to new J label of password. Okay. Username, and then password. I'll put semicolon here. So labels we have created, username and password. Now I'm creating text boxes. So T1 equals to J text field, and I can say I want text boxes with 20 characters width. So I need to write new here. Fine. And T2 equals to new J text field of 20. So both text boxes we have created. Now we have to create buttons. So I'll say B1 equals to new J button of submit. one button with the name submit, B2 equals to new J button with the name reset. So when you click on submit button, it will check the user ID and password. When you click on reset, the text box will be cleared. And when you say B3 equals to new J button of cancel. So when you click on cancel, the program will be terminated. So all the components I have created. Now we have to add these components, like how we have added the heading. So I'll say c dot add. Okay, first I want to add user ID, the label, and then the text box immediately after that. C dot add PWD, the label, and C dot add T2, the second text box for entering the password. After this, I'll say C dot add B1, the first button, C dot add B2, the second button, C dot add B3, the third button. All the three buttons I have added. Okay. Now, guys, if you want to check label, sorry, this heading, I'll just put it here. Here I'll put it. Okay. So I'll just put it here. Yeah. Because all the components which you are adding, now you can observe. First, you are taking the content reference, then you are creating heading, and then you are creating font for the heading. Then you are setting the font for the heading. You are setting the layout, that is flow layout. After that, you are creating two labels for username and password, two text boxes, three buttons. Now, along with heading, labels, text boxes, buttons, everything is added to the form. Now you can simply run the code and you can check here. Guys, awesome. Login form is created, you can see here. Okay, now I can enter like some name, some password. So whenever I enter that name, the name should be visible, it's okay. But whenever I enter the password, it should not display this password. Is it clear? It should display star symbols in the case of password. And when I click on submit button, it should tell me like whether the user is valid or not. Reset, it should be clear. Cancel, the program should get stopped. Now we have to work on that. So like text field, we have one more class that is known as J text password field. J password field. Is it clear? J password field. So T1 is of text field type, T2 is of password field type. So here I need to change it. J, I need to say password field. So when I create object of password field class reference, what happens, like a password won't be visible, you'll get star symbols. I'll say Raj and you can observe. Okay, fine. Now, listen carefully, guys. When you click on submit button or reset or cancel, some action should take place. And that particular concept, we call it as event handling. Okay, so to work with event handling, Java has provided some ready-made interfaces, and we need to work with one interface called action listener. So I'll use one keyword called implements action listener. And this action listener interface is available in a package called event. Event is available in AWT. So you have to import one more package along with the event. Okay. And this action listener contains a method called action performed that we have to override now. That method we have to override. So I'll say public void action performed action event AE. Means whenever you click on any component, like any button, then directly the control will come to this particular location. Means the JVM will create one reference for the component which is being clicked, and will pass that component to this action performed method. So the action event is received in AE variable. Okay, means using this AE variable, we can get to know like which button is clicked, whether it is submit or cancel or reset. Okay, but how Java knows that whenever the buttons are clicked, the corresponding method to be executed is available here. And this is we call actually event registration, that we have to do it explicitly. So I'll say b1.add action listener of this. This indicates the method to be executed when button 1 is clicked is available in the current class only. b2.add action listener of this. And for b3 also the same thing, add action listener of this, you have to say. Okay, now whenever you click on any button, it will send the reference of the button being clicked to this method, and that reference is received in AE variable. So here what you can do is you can just create one string variable, string str, and you can say AE dot get action command. Get action command will return the title of the button being pressed. Now what you can do is you can simply print that str. You can simply print that str. Now I'll run the program. You'll see what is printed on the output window. Observe clearly, I won't enter anything. I'll just click on submit button. Now see submit. Again you see reset. Again you see cancel. Submit, submit, submit. So every time whenever you click on submit button, the action is performed by this method actually. Okay. Now based upon this particular information, we have to further continue our program logic. See, everything is related to the logic. So I'll write like this: if str dot equals of submit, means if the user clicks on submit button, then what you should do. Is it clear? Or one more if condition you have to write it. One more if condition you have to write it. If the user clicks on reset button, you have to write the same title what we have given at the time of creating these components, like reset, R-E-S-E-T, reset. And again, one more if condition you have to write. If the user clicks on cancel, then what you have to do? So if the user clicks on cancel, then I'll say system.exit of 0, means I'll just terminate the program. If the user clicks on reset, then I'll say t1.set text equals to space, means I'll clear whatever is written in the text box. I'll just make it empty. Okay. Now you can just observe these two things actually, because writing code for submit button is a little bit lengthy. So I'll explain you in a while. First, you just check this reset and cancel once. So I'll write some name, I'll write some password, and I'll just click on reset. Can you see the text box got clear? Again, I'll show you. Observe clearly. Harish. Okay, and some password I have given. I click on reset, it's cleared. Now I'll click on cancel, the program will be terminated. Is it clear? Now we need to write code for the submit button. Okay. So here, whenever the user clicks on submit button, what happened, your Java application should interact with the database. So everyone who wants to build their career in IT industry must have knowledge of database also. Is it clear? So here we'll connect with the database, and from database we'll fetch all the usernames and passwords which are already stored. Okay. So here I'll say DB username. Imagine in database there is one user name stored with the name Atish, string DB password. Okay, and I'll just say Jain. Means, see, we don't have any database connection kind of application now, because it will become very lengthy. Okay, so imagine like we got some names from the database, means username and password, we got it, we fetched it from database. Okay, and they are stored in these variables. But actually in real life applications, we write some like we connect with database, from database we fetch the data and we'll store it to variables. Here what I have to do is, whatever the names which are entered in the text boxes, that we have to fetch it. So once if the user clicks on submit button, then what you have to do is you have to say string s1 equals to t1 dot get text. Get text is nothing but you are fetching the username which is stored, and s2 equals to t2 dot get text. So you're getting the data which is there in text boxes t1 and t2. Okay, and now what I'll do is if s1 dot equals of means whatever the name you have in s1 variable which is coming from the text box is matching with db username, means the username which is coming from the database, and s2 dot equals of db password. And guys, generally usernames we won't check with completely with case sensitive. So we have a method called equals ignore case. Is it clear? So equals ignore case method is used for username, not to check along with case sensitiveness, but whereas password you have to check for the case also. So if the username and password is matching with that username and password which is coming from the database, then there is a class called JOptionPane, okay, and which contains a static method called show message dialog, okay, and this message dialog is applicable to one container reference, means whatever the output window you are displaying, the message dialog box you are displaying, for that message dialog, who is the parent, like container is the parent. So the content reference what we have created earlier, that C, you can take it here. Now you can display like welcome. Is it clear? So here I'll say S1 plus comma welcome. So what happens, like if the username and password is matched, then we'll display welcome message. Otherwise, else part, the same message I'll display it, but this time here check your user ID or password. Is it clear? So this is the message I am displaying. Let me reduce, okay, the left hand side so that you can see the complete piece of code. So this is whenever you are clicking on submit button, you have to fetch data which you have inputted in the text boxes into S1, S2 variables. Then S1, S2 variables you are comparing with data which is coming from the database. If they are matching, then you'll say like you are a valid user. Welcome, you are valid user. Okay, something like this. So now let me run this program. So here I'll say Atish and I'll say my password and I'll click on submit. See here, Atish, welcome, your valid user. Fine. Now imagine I done some mistake in the password. Then it says, Atish, check your user ID and password. Okay. The first button I have explained you. Next is like reset. Everything is clear. And you can close this application either by clicking on cancel button or clicking on the into mark. So I'll just click on cancel and you can see here the program is terminated. So guys, this is how we create a student login form using Java Swings API. Slowly, I'll scroll each and every line of so that you can take screenshots or you can pause the video and you can note down each and every line of code so that you can practice it by your own. And guys, to work with this concept, there are 20 different modules I teach to my students so that they'll understand each and every line of code. And you can see like each and every line of code I've written before you by explaining. And to reach to this stage, you need to practice so many programs. Is it clear? With good foundation. You need to have good, strong foundation. That is very, very important. So you can see here, class login form extends JFrame and implements action listener. Then you have to create all the reference variables which are required for the program. Then this is the constructor, line number 13. This is the constructor from here. And all the components I've created, whichever is required for the application. And this is here end of constructor, end of constructor. Okay, constructor is completed, and this is known as method overriding. We are overriding the method action performed. Okay, and this method is coming from action listener interface. Is it clear? This is an action listener interface which contains a method without any body, and such methods are known as actually abstract methods. And abstract methods are available in abstract classes or interfaces. Interfaces contains all methods by default abstract. So that abstract method, I am overriding it here. So you can see here. So line number 50, 51, like imagine like we are fetching data from database. Okay. And this is the code for submit, reset, and cancel. Okay. And then we have this end of action performed method, action performed method, and this is like end of class. And after that, the main method functionality will start. And here only just one line of code. You need to create object of the login form class. And as we have written the whole code inside the constructor, once the constructor is called, everything from that constructor will get executed. So guys, this is how we design a login form application using Java Swing API, using Swing API. And we can create registration application. Is it clear? We can create registration application with so many fields. We can apply validations on that. So that everything you have to do it. Is it clear? Everything you have to keep on working because it's not like one day game. We need to keep on working on these kind of applications. So guys, thank you so much for attending this session, and hope you have enjoyed this.